Today in the shop, let's clean up this old draw knife. It's a birthday present for dear old dad, and it needs some attention. We're working with an old Fulton 10-inch draw knife that I ordered off of eBay. Needs some care, but it looked like it'd be a great starting point. I think the first thing we need to address is to take these handles off, because we need to get the metal de-rusted and kind of cleaned up. We're not going to bring it back to show new. We're going to leave it in kind of original condition, but just clean. So we have to get these handles off, and it looked like they are pinged over ends. So the tang that comes down through the handle is pinged over this metal plate. I think what we'll do is file that down. This one's already busted over here. But we'll file that down until we can get this off and pull these handles off. Because what we're going to do is we're going to turn some new handles out of cedar. I know that's not the best handle material, but I have some cedar that's actually from an important place. So I'm going to use that cedar, so it's kind of has a connection. And this thing's going to be used on a bunch of cedar, most likely. So anyway, make that connection. Let's get these handles off. So in my kayak fishing cooler here, the only thing I could find to fit is 50-50 water and distilled white wine vinegar. It's supposed to help get rid of rust. I've never actually used this before, but like I said, I want to keep it old looking, but get it cleaned up, get the rust cleaned up. So we'll hit it with some abrasive material at some point, I'm sure. But this was the only thing I could find to fit. And we're going to start that cleaning, leave it in this, I don't know, all day, see what happens with it, and then go from there. In the meantime, let's get started on the handles. It's pretty obvious here, my bandsaw is not quite big enough to cut through this chunk of cedar. So I'm just pretty much going to use it to make a circle cut all the way around, just rotating the log, and then finish it off with a handsaw. Of course, you need to get a little purchase when using a saw to do it right. And I was trying to be lazy and just knock through it. Figured I would come over to my makeshift woodworking table, I guess. I drilled some holes in it, made the clamp where I could clamp a piece in long ways. This way I can get it started and cut through that center section and take a little time and do it the right way, I guess. And there we have it. Finally cut through that big old chunk of cedar. That's some pretty stuff, especially when you sand it down and get it smooth. It's really nice. Came from a special place for us. So here, we're just trying to figure out where I want to cut out of that cedar to make the handles. And I didn't really want to use a whole nother chunk and use the center. I realized there's a grain issue here. I don't know a ton about that, but I know enough to know, like, I don't want to use the edges. Ideally, I'd be using the center for both handles. So I kind of did the best I could out of this one log that I cut the length of the handles to make it work. And tried to pick some pretty sections of that cedar as well. Again, this bandsaw is not big enough for this, but it works. I can make the tool work. Just take my time and kind of gnaw through the wood the best I can. And hey, use what you have. I'm not going to go spend a ton of money on a bandsaw. I do this stuff for fun, recreation, get out in the shop and do some projects, learn how to do stuff better, just, enjoy myself out here. And that's the whole point of this, right? So here's those pieces. See, I told you that's some pretty cedar. Now, just kind of getting some basic measurements of this handle. I'm going to just try to turn it on the lathe in the same shape. So using the calipers there and just get some basic measurements for the narrow portions and the wider portions. And so I have a guide to use when I'm on the lathe. And again, here, picking the center portion that I want to use out of that cedar and trying to get the best grain that I can see. Again, with limited knowledge on this stuff, but I know enough to know that I need to take the time and try to pick the right spot so that these handles just don't fall apart when you're actually trying to use them. Now, I'm by no means an expert on the lathe. I know the basics. I'm a little scared of some of the tools, to be honest with you, but I know the basics. I enjoy it, and I haven't sharpened these tools in a while because I'm not out there on the lathe as much as when I first got it. It's kind of the way things go, but you have a tool, and you can make use of it. Every time you get a new tool, you have a new capability. Or you get new knowledge, you have a new capability with that knowledge. So you learn to make use of what you have, right? So now we're just basically turning that cedar down to round, and now we'll start getting it closer to the actual size we need for the handles. This is where I should be using, I think, that bowl gouge is what it's called. The tool that scares me the most. I've had a lot of bad catches, trouble sharpening, but it's a very capable tool that you can do a lot with, and I should force myself to use it. But instead, I'm just using a scraper. I can get everything down to the general size to start with here, and do it safer without blowing apart this cedar. Because like I said, that bowl gouge, while I should force myself to be better with it, I want to get this project done. So we'll get things together with the scraper and then move on to basically a rounded scraper to start to get in the overall shape of the handle. Now that we have the piece turned to a closer diameter of the handle, it's time to start putting in the actual shape. And here I'm putting that ferrule end. I'm narrowing down that part where the ferrule's gonna fit over it. I should have done this last, right? That's the narrowest part. So now I make it harder for the lathe to hold the piece. It's a learning curve. I knew this, but it's been a while since I used the tool. Now I remember, and hopefully next time I go out here and you learn, you do the things in the right order, and you either can research it ahead of time, which I've done in the past, but then you forget when you get back out here. That's the joy of coming back out to the shop. I don't I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I just enjoy getting out there, working on things, using the tools, and creating something out of nothing. It's fun. So anyway. And here I have to flip the piece around because I've made that ferrule end too small and the chuck won't hold it. So that created a problem because if I apply too much pressure clamping it in the lathe, I'll blow apart that narrow end. So again, I remember now. Next time, hopefully I won't do it that way. And persistence pays off. I think it came out looking pretty decent. It matches the original handle fairly close, feels nice in the hand, and hey, that's what we're out here to do. I enjoy it. I hope you do too. So here's where we're at so far. The handles are mostly done, and everything has a coat of boiled linseed oil on it right now, just to kind of keep it clean and keep the metal from rusting, and that's what I'm going to coat it with anyways. So here is the draw knife, cleaned up. I did a lot of hitting it with the toothbrush, hitting it with steel wool, as well as some 220 sandpaper. And yes, I did manage to slice my thumb pretty good. It's dull, but it's still sharp enough for that. So I need to make the holes within the handles fit over here. So since this is forged from a round dowel into this squarish tapered piece, I'm going to have to do the same to the handle, just like the original one was, and open it up much like the original one. See that? So what I'm gonna have to do is open it up so that it kind of matches that and tapers down. See, the handle needs to stick out the bottom a little bit so that I can ping that end over a washer and lock it on. So it's going to have to taper all the way down to about here to there. So that is going to take a little bit of figuring. I think I might just do it with a drill bit and just kind of work it in a little bit, clean it with knife and chisels. Just do it by hand as best I can. After a good bit of work, just kind of wallering out the top hole with the drill, cleaning it out and just going a little bit at a time. Got the handles on. I think I will. I am going to have to fill it with epoxy. Get a good purchase in there, fill up any gaps, and also hold this cedar together since it is cedar. But it's still got a cool story. So there we go. The tapered handle fits in. Moving on. With the handles epoxied on, everything's just about done, but I still do want to put a little metal keeper on the bottom of these handles and ping them in place for a better hold. And I have some 16 gauge sheet, but I think what I'm going to do instead of cutting a piece of that out is just use a washer, except hole's too big, right? So what I'm going to do is clean this washer up and fill the hole, just weld in that hole and then drill that size so it fits over, and I can ping it on the bottom of here as a keeper. So that's where we stand, and then it's a matter of sharpening it up, wrapping it up, and yeah, passing it on. Now, I have to be honest with you. I wound up finding a washer that had a smaller hole that would work better. I just wanted to show the welding. I enjoy welding, and I didn't take a lot of time to set it up, and I pretty much just blew through those washers. But it looks cool, and it's fun. So anyway, these washers fit. I looked through my supply of used stuff, and they work better. Just wanted to let you know that not everything goes perfect. And I want to show you that in these videos. Again, I don't know what I'm doing all the time, and I'm not going to try to make it look like I do. I just wanted to show the welding because I figured it looked pretty cool. All right, so those ends are both pinged on. I have everything kind of coated in linseed oil, so it just keeps soaking. So now let's do a quick sharpen. I've never actually sharpened one of these, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I'll flatten the back a little bit and keep this bevel as best I can. Get it sharp, get it wrapped up. Let's see. And this is not a how-to because I have never sharpened one of these before, but sharpening things is kind of like sharpening other things, right? It should be pretty similar. So we will get to work. There's a chip in the edge of the blade. Normally with some things I would take it down and redo the edge, but again, I've never done one of these. It's pretty small, and I think, you know, with what he's going to be using it for, should be fine. And if he wants to adjust it down the road, certainly is an option. And just like with anything else, I'll keep kind of the angle and look for a burr on the back. When I start feeling that, I'll clean off the back of the burr, probably hit it with a leather strop, see how we did. Here it is, the draw knife. All done, finished, not super sharp, but sharp enough to get the job done and let Dad put his own edge on it, figure out how he wants to use it, how the tool's gonna fit into his workflow, and then he can put a fine edge on it if he wants. I don't want him to hurt himself with it. I thought it came out really nice. I can't remember, I think I paid like 30 bucks on eBay for this thing. I wanted to, you know, keep a good quality tool, bring it back to life, pass it on to Dad, and have a fun project. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Get out in the shop. Go make something. Thanks again.